study groups, actually one study group in English, and you're very welcome. We will share the link in the chat, in the Zoom chat and the group chat. You're very welcome to learn this course in the study group. And please welcome Venerable Gyelse. Thank you. Venerable Gyelse, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Kadrin. Hello, everyone. Let me change my view for a moment so I can see everybody. Well, not quite everybody, because there's people who don't have their cameras on. Oh, more. Yay. Alexander, thank you for putting your camera on. It's so much easier to teach when I can see you, right? You get to see me because there's only one of me, but otherwise it's like teaching to a blank screen. It's like, who am I teaching? Who is out there? So thank you again for turning on your cameras. It really helps me. So welcome to ACI 17. From all over the world, different hours of the day. Here it's morning. Over there in Asia, it's the evening or the nighttime, and Europe in between. I think we've got the world covered, right? We're doing pretty well to be able to spread these teachings. So welcome. And I just want to say, we're having class today, and then next week we'll have a class a week from today. And then after that, we'll have 2 classes a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we're jumping in today. On Thursday, we will not have a class on Tuesday. And then we'll have our second class on Thursday. And then after that, Tuesdays and Thursdays, just to get you mixed up. Or could it get me mixed up, maybe? So let me share. My screen. And we'll just jump right in. So maybe you've taken ACI 16, which is the first review course, as Venerable Kadran said. And that I'm going to just jump ahead here for a moment to the next slide. So what was in ACI 16? It was the review of the first 5 ACI courses. So in the first one, we had the 3 principal paths: renunciation, bodhicitta, and a correct worldview, which is basically the wish for enlightenment or karma and emptiness, and karma, let's just leave it at that, karma and emptiness, correct worldview. But the rest of it, the renunciation and the bodhicitta, we're talking about the 2 truths, deceptive reality and ultimate reality. We're talking about dependent origination and the wish with a capital W, meaning the wish to become enlightened for the benefit of every living being. So that was course 1, ACI course 1. And then building on ACI course 1, is Course 2, of course. And that's on refuge. And this comes from the perfection of wisdom teachings. And so we do, of course, talk about emptiness, the perfection of wisdom. We talk about the three jewels. We talk about refuge, bodhicitta, nirvana, the gotcha, that thing that we think is there that isn't there and never was there and never will be there. Bodhicitta, right? Oh, I said that, didn't I? And types of beings, and of course, we always talk about emptiness. And then next, in Course 3, it's all about meditation. That all the different types of meditation, the preliminaries, the 7 ingredients, place, posture, obstacles, the 9 levels of shamatha, 3 types of meditation, different kinds of meditation, etc. And this, I don't know, I find all the courses, I want to go back and study them again. But this one, when I began going into meditation retreats, I always took with me because there's so much material in it to help you have good meditations, deep meditations. And it's always wonderful to refer back to it. And then Course 4 was proof of future lives, past lives, future lives. This comes from logic, and the 12 links are also spoken about in that course. And then Course 16 ended with a really big one, right? Karma. And this comes from the Abhidharma Kosha, and it talks about what is karma, how does it work, the 10 virtues or non-virtues, depending on how you look at them. And of course, the connection between karma and emptiness. So that would have been Course 16, on which Course 17 builds. So Course 16 was the first 5 courses, and Course 17 is the second 5 courses. So ACI 17, the 3 review courses are called the Great Ideas of Buddhism. And of course, it being 17, it's in the middle, so it's part 2. The whole purpose of the ACI courses are for us to have the direct perception of emptiness. It's for reaching the path of seeing. And that's the goal of everything that we're doing, so that we can become what's called a stream enterer or an Arya, get out of this suffering life, and then be able to really help others. Because we've traveled the path. And so we get to be able to share how to follow that path as well. Right? And what are those things that we need to do? They're all of our practices. They're all of our studies. They're putting into practice everything that we learn in our studies. They're meditations, serving your teachers. And that creates, planting those seeds creates the environment where you are definitely on your way out of suffering. So through studying all of your courses, including ACI 17, imagine that you are in the process of reaching this place. That is the purpose of these teachings. To become that enlightened being. To know without a doubt, spontaneously, that you can help all the beings out there who need your help. So take a moment and just imagine yourself already being there before we go on. Having the wisdom, the knowledge, the ability to help every living being, to be that holy angel. So what are we going to be studying in ACI 17 that helps us? What are those 5 courses in the middle? The first one is Course 6, the Diamond Cutter Sutra. And then the next one is Course 7, the Vows of a Bodhisattva. What do you think the Course 8 is? Death and the Realms of Existence. I think some of you who were in the teacher training have had a good dose of the death and the realms of existence. Course 9 is Vinaya, or Buddhist discipline, how to live a good life, to be a kind person. And then Course 10 is the first part of Master Shantideva's Bodhisattva's way of life. So that's our course, right there on one slide. So we're going to start off with the Diamond Cutter Sutra, the middle way philosophy, the Madhyamika philosophy, level 1, not level 3 or 4, right? We're starting out at the bottom, level 1. And this is a very old, I'm not sure even where it comes from. I would assume China. Looks like Chinese, but I don't know. I think it's in fact, the first, if I remember correctly, it's the first part of the Diamond Cutter Sutra, which you can see in the British Library in London. And it came from the Don Juan Caves. And this is Lord Buddha teaching the Diamond Cutter Sutra. So this is the frontis. It's a big scroll, and this is the first little piece of that scroll. Even before I was a Buddhist, I went and saw this when I was in London. I don't know, you know how things happen sometimes where you do things that you don't know why, but you're just attracted to it. And this is one of those things in my life. And there've been a lot of them connected with Buddhism before I even became a Buddhist. Very holy things that I did just because I was drawn to it, right? And then you find out about them later and you're, oh, that's interesting. And here is the frontispiece, the first page of a pecha of the Tibetan diamond cutter, right? The diamond cutter. Yeah. So I just thought you might like to see all those things. So in Sanskrit, the diamond cutter, oh, do you know as well that the diamond cutter was the first book ever published? It's really cool. It was the first book ever published. And it comes from India. So the Sanskrit name for it is, say it with me, Arya, Vajra, repeat after me, Chetaka, Nama, Prajna, Paramita, Mahayana Sutra. Arya Vajrachetaka Nama Prajna Paramita Mahayana Sutra. And then in Tibetan, it's, again, repeat after me, Pakpa, which means Arya, Pakpa, Sherab, Kiparo, Tuchimpa, Dorje Chupa, Shejawe, Tekpa, Chempoi, Do. Pakpa Sherab Kiparo Tuchimpa, Dorje Chupa, Shejawe, Tekpe, Chempe, Do. And in English, it's an exalted sutra of the greater way on the perfection of wisdom, entitled The Diamond Cutter. It's always good to know what book you're studying, right? So this is the book that you're going to be studying in the next two classes. The meaning of the perfection of wisdom is to perceive emptiness under the influence of bodhicitta. The perfection of wisdom, or prajna paramita in Sanskrit, is the general name of the group of books dealing with wisdom. Dorje Chupa, or the Diamond Cutter Sutra, belongs to this group. Now, you may have heard somewhere somebody just calling it the Diamond Sutra. The part cutter is a really important part of the title, because that's the whole point, is to cut. And we're going to talk about what we're going to cut. So an excuse me. An exalted sutra of the greater way on the perfection of wisdom, entitled the Diamond Cutter Sutra, Vajrachetaka, Dorje Chupa, and in Chinese, Jing Kang Jing. So it has this word, these two words, important words, diamond and cutter. But you know what? If you read the Diamond Cutter Sutra, it doesn't ever talk about diamonds or cutting diamonds, right? So why is it called that? Anybody remember? And put it in the chat. Nobody remembers? I see it in Vietnamese, but I can't translate that quickly, I don't believe. And in Ukrainian or Russian. Because diamonds can't be cut. But you can cut diamonds, right? You can make smaller diamonds by cutting it with another diamond. Let's see. Even though diamond is the highest substance in the world, but emptiness can cut it. Oh, that's Gibson. Gibson. Of course, you know the answer to it. Because the characteristics of emptiness are similar to diamonds. Yes, indeed. That's also true. And diamond has three properties. And it's a metaphor because emptiness can cut diamonds. Oh, now you guys are sending it in. It represents the ultimate reality in the universe. So cool. Thank you. You guys, you remember that really sweetly. Yes, diamonds are the closest thing to the object that you are perceiving when you see emptiness directly. That's one of the reasons, and we'll talk about more. Why is it so important to see emptiness directly? Geshe Michael has described seeing emptiness directly to us many times. I hope that you have heard him. I have not seen emptiness directly. There are sutras who also describe the experience. But ultimately, it's indescribable. And it will be the most profound experience that you and I as humans can have. When it happens, for the next 10 or 12 hours, you have all kinds of realizations like popcorn just going off, right? And they are the essence of the four Arya truths, generally known as the Four Noble Truths, right? You will see the day of your enlightenment. Wouldn't that be cool? You know it's going to happen now because you've seen it directly, not just hearing from somebody else that it's going to happen, not just thinking, oh, maybe this will happen, but it will definitely happen. Thank you for all of your additions in the chat, right? You understand that you have seen the essence body of an enlightened being. And we'll talk about those bodies, the different bodies in quotes, of an enlightened being, the different parts, maybe we should say. You will not only understand prostrations and offerings, you will make the first true prostration that you ever have. And it comes from deep within your heart. It's not something that somebody says you should do. It's like you're so moved by the experience, so humbled by it, that you will do your first pure prostration. In the time afterwards, in the aftermath, you can read people's minds, which maybe is nice and maybe not. And during that time, it's like you're you're wondering, what is something that I can remember? What is a metaphor for what I saw? And because of the properties of a diamond, that's what comes to mind. So according to oral tradition, as you guys said in the chat, there are 3 reasons that a diamond is the closest thing to emptiness. In our world that we live in, it is the closest thing to being ultimate. The ultimate meaning the most of something, right? And you can see in this picture that I have 2 fairly raw looking diamonds. And then a Vajra. What's the name of our book? Vajrachetika. What does Vajra mean? It means diamond. And you can see here a diamond cut like, or maybe I should say a metal Vajra cut like this diamond, 2 diamonds together. So there is nothing in the physical world that is the most of anything, like the highest, the smallest, or the biggest. We can always go a little further. We can always get smaller and smaller and smaller. We can always get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Or taller and taller and taller. And you can always go close, something that is close to the ultimate. And a diamond is close. In our world, the diamond is the hardest thing naturally occurring in our world, right? It's 10,000 times harder than anything else. Its hardest is the closest that any object in our world comes to being ultimate or absolute. So, in that sense, diamond is a metaphor for ultimate reality, which is absolute. In Madhyamika, in the highest school, ultimate reality is the fact that nothing has any self-existence of its own. It's not coming this way. It's coming this way, right? So in our world, a diamond cannot be scratched or cut. It can only be cut along a weak plane by another diamond. It can be ground. You have to find like a place where you can fracture it. So diamond is the closest to ultimate. And the next one, the second one, is that a diamond is perfectly clear. Everything in the universe has its own emptiness, right? The pen, the glass of water, the computer screen. We are surrounded by emptiness, but we can't see it. And a diamond is so pure that if you were to have diamond sheet of like a window, it would be completely invisible. You would see right through it. If there were no light reflecting from its surface, it's totally invisible to the ordinary eye. In fact, there could be a 5-mile wide wall of diamond in front of you, and we wouldn't see it. If you look, like right now, I have a window right above my screen here, and I can look out of it, and it looks totally clear to me because it's clean. And in fact, it has a little reflection. It's reflecting something from the other side of the room, looking at it from the front. But if you were to look at that piece of glass down its edge, generally, you would see a green color. It's not clear, right? Any of you have ever looked at, a piece of glass down its edge, and that's the result of iron impurities. So it's not pure like a diamond. But again, we use these metaphors because everything around us, every object has its emptiness. But we, with our ordinary eyes and mind, can't perceive it. And it's invisible to our mind. Why? It has to do with our ignorance. Right? It has to do with our ignorance. So in order to see it, we have to study hard and work hard to create an incredible amount of virtue. We have to plant lots and lots of seeds. Study seeds, serving seeds, meditation seeds. That's the whole point, is to have those 20 minutes of the direct perception of emptiness. Number 3, diamonds are totally equivalent. Every diamond is the same. The structure is pure. And you can cut a diamond, you can have lots of little diamonds from cutting a diamond, and no matter how small they are, every piece of that diamond is pure carbon, bonded together in the same atomic structure. It's perfectly symmetrical in every direction. Therefore, every tiny sliver of diamond, down to the molecular level, is exactly the same internally as every other piece of diamond. It's pretty amazing, right? Pretty amazing. So the emptiness of every object in the universe is totally equal. So these are the 3 points, right? So what is the meaning of emptiness? The word emptiness refers to the absence of something, like a 2-headed purple elephant 100 feet tall rampaging through your room at this very moment. You don't even have to look around to see one, right? I know there isn't one in my room here. Why? It could never exist anyway. It's an imaginary thing. We call this the object we deny. And it refers to anything that did not, does not or will not exist by virtue of our perceptions, forced on us by our past deeds. And this thing is called the gotcha. The thing that does not exist by how we have treated others in the past. It's a thing that could never exist. It's the husband in the kitchen. It's the pen. There are many, many things that we can use to talk about this gotcha, the thing that doesn't exist, never will, and doesn't now, outside of our perceptions being forced on us by the seeds that we planted in the past. So, sunlight on the path to freedom, or Tarlam Nima. Oh, I'll get back to that in a minute. Is a commentary on the Diamond Cutter Sutra. And it's a commentary by Choni Lama. And he says that the wisdom perceiving emptiness cuts mental afflictions and every suffering from the root. Say that again. The wisdom perceiving emptiness cuts mental afflictions and every suffering from the root. What is the root? It's our ignorance, believing things are coming this way, right? When we see emptiness directly, we know absolutely that things are coming this way from us. Our ignorance, yes, exactly. So the oral tradition teaches that although a diamond is the closest thing in the normal world to ultimate reality, it doesn't come close at all, right? It is infinitely inferior to emptiness itself. So in a sense, ultimate reality cuts or outdoes the diamond. Again, here is another picture of Lord Buddha and his disciples teaching the diamond cutter. So we talked about diamond. We're going to talk here now about some more about the cutter part. Cutter can also refer to when you come out of the direct perception of emptiness, you see that every other perception you ever had was mistaken. We think we're right all the time, right? Or at least I do. If you're like me, you do. You think your point of view is right. You think what you're experiencing compared to what someone else is experiencing is right. And that they're saying that we have never, ever, until we have the direct perception of emptiness, have had a correct view. Every perception we've had was mistaken. Right? So the cutter can also refer to when you come out of the direct perception of emptiness, you see that because you've seen the Dharmakaya. Again, a diamond is a metaphor, but emptiness is a completely different reality. And this is what Buddhism means by illusory existence, something that is an illusion, an existence of illusion. When you come out of the direct perception of emptiness, you know your perceptions are wrong or inaccurate. Or at least that's what they told me. I haven't experienced it yet, so I can't tell you from my side, but I can share with you what my teachers and what I have read in the books of other teachers have say. You know your perceptions are wrong, but you can't stop them. At least you know that they're wrong, right? Now we still think that our perceptions are right. Afterwards, we know, look, I saw emptiness directly. I know that that's not coming at me, but it's still appearing to me like it's coming at me. I don't see it this way yet. You have to get used to that, right? Also, diamond is totally insufficient to describe emptiness. The cutter part means as if a diamond were placed, say, against some wheat. What you see during emptiness compared to what you see outside emptiness is like the hardness of wheat compared to the hardness of diamond. So this metaphor is comparing what we see when we're not in the direct perception of emptiness to the hardness of a wheat grain. Right? There's, in fact, two kinds of wheat. There's soft wheat and hard wheat. Hard wheat is the one that we make pastry flour out of. Soft wheat is the one for bread. So we're talking about this hard wheat. So we're comparing what we see, or they are comparing what we see outside of the direct perception of emptiness to the hardness of that grain, right? It's not something you can break up in your fingers, but you can break it up compared to the hardness of a diamond when you're in the direct perception of emptiness. It's an interesting metaphor. You have to think about it. So as I said, Choni Lama wrote a commentary, and it's the only one existing in Tibetan on the root text. And here we have the Diamond Cutter Press copy of it, translation by Venerable Jigme and Geshe Michael, which they did during the Diamond Mountain University days. And it's called Tarlam Nima, or Sunlight on the Path to Freedom. And it is a commentary on the root text. What's the root text? What root text are we talking about? Yes, the Diamond Cutter Sutra. That's the text. It even says so right there, right? Right here. A commentary to the Diamond Cutter Sutra. Choni Lama, we call him Choni Lama. His full name is Choni Lama Drakpa Shedrup. And you need this for your homework, of course. And he lived 1675 to 1748. And he is a textbook writer for Sarah May Monastery, our mother monastery. So that's the monastery he was from. And Choni is an area in a part of Tibet called Amdo. Drakpa Shedrup is his monk's name. And you can read his biography in the book. you can also read it on the knowledge base. So you can go to those two places to read about his biography. I'm not going to go into it here. By the way, everybody will get the PDF of this. It will be available to you. But it's also good to take notes if you plan on doing the homework. There are also two classical Indian commentaries on the Diamond Cutter Sutra, one by Master Kamalashila, who, if you've been around long enough, you've heard his name quite a bit, I'm sure. And he lived around 750 AD. And his commentary is called the Great Commentary to the Diamond Cutter Sutra. And it's from the mind-only school's point of view. And you can find recordings of Geshe-la's teachings also on the knowledge base of Master Kamalashila. And then there was Master Vasubandhu, who you've probably also heard of, who lived 4 centuries earlier than Master Kamalashila. And his name was Lopan Nyiknen, and he wrote a Sanskrit commentary. And these are the only 2 surviving commentaries in the Tangyur that survived out of many. Don't know how many, but many. So I mentioned those bodies of an enlightened being, right? We talked about the essence body earlier. So the purpose of this class, the whole purpose, is to learn how to plant the seeds, to see the world as a divine paradise in our enlightened being's body, not in this human body, which gets old and sick and dies, right? And suffers, right? We want to have an angel's body that doesn't do those things. So there are 2 topics for this part of this class, which are the bodies of a Buddha and practicing the 6 perfections with an understanding of emptiness. Body in Tibetan is ku, say ku. And in Sanskrit, it's kaya, kaya. So we start out, an enlightened being's body can be divided into 2 or 4, sometimes 3. We have the sukku, or the rupakaya, which is the physical body, right? The physical body of an enlightened being. And then we have the chukku, or the dharmakaya, which is the mental and ultimate nature of a Buddha, which is what? What's the ultimate nature of a Buddha? What is the mental? Marcus. Yes, emptiness. Natasha, emptiness. The ultimate nature, the Dharmakaya. It's the emptiness of the mind of an enlightened being. It's their Buddha nature is empty, right? Of self-existence. So we have Sukku and Chukku, or Rupakaya and Dharmakaya, and then they get divided into 2. We have Chukku, say Chukku. We hear people say that person is a Chukku. right? What does that mean? It means that they're an emanation. They're an emanation. That's the Nirmanakaya. And then the other part of the physical body of a Buddha is the Longkyu, or the Sambhogakaya. And it took me years to get these straight and not confused, like the Svabhavakaya and the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya and the Jnana Dharmakaya. It's like, and I found making this chart for myself was really helpful. It's like, maybe I can get them straight and talk about them properly. So the Longkyu, or the Sambhogakaya, is an enlightened being's physical body, right? It's the body that they hang out in their own paradise. It's the body of enjoyment. It's having a body that you enjoy in a place that you enjoy, right? And then the Chuku, or the Dharmakaya, also gets divided into two bodies. We have the Yeshi Chuku and the Nooniku. The Yeshi Chuku is also known as Jnana Dharmakaya, and it's the omniscience of the wisdom body. It's that all-knowingness, right? It's knowing past, present, and future simultaneously. Now, how they do that? Time has got to be empty, right? To be able to see all three times at the same moment. Which it's hard to wrap my mind around it because I don't see time that way. You know, I see them as separate. I don't know about you. So it's the omniscience. And then the Nooniku, or the Svabhavakaya, is your Buddha nature. The fact that you and the Buddha are same because we are empty. It's just how we're being forced to see ourselves by our seeds that we planted in the past. So the emanation body. An enlightened being has this incredible ability to send out automatically, without even thinking about it, emanations from her Buddha paradise to help beings all over every universe, not even thinking about it, not consciously thinking about it, at least, right? When someone is ready to see an emanation of the Buddha, when their seeds are ripening and ripen, then the emanation appears in the form that is most helpful to that person. So it makes you wonder, who are the beings around me? Could they be emanations of an enlightened being? Could you all be emanations of enlightened beings getting me to teach this so it helps me? Yeah. So there are different kinds of emanation bodies. We have the Chuki Chuku, which is what we call the supreme Nirmanakaya. And it's this classic emanation body, like of Lord Buddha, the one who does the 12 deeds. For example, the emanation body that Lord Buddha sent to this planet 2,500 years ago and demonstrated the process, the 12 things that they did getting to their enlightenment. That's what those 12 deeds are about. So that's the classic emanation body. Then there's the truco, the normal emanation body, right? Anybody around you could be a truco. A car, a dog, a bridge, anyone or anything. Enlightened beings can send out countless emanations at exactly the same time all over every universe, not just even this one universe. And we know that there's thousands more universes, right? They can also emanate as inanimate objects, such as the sound of the wind in the trees, the sound of the ocean waves. They can speak to you through these things. And this is a typical way that the enlightened beings emanate to help you and me. I mean, what would we do if we saw some guy walking down the street in robes with a weird bump on the top of his head? And we would probably think they're a little nuts, right? So why would they show up that way? How would they show up? Is it possible they could show up as the irritating person in your life to get you to look at your mind and your assumptions? Could they show up as your dog who comforts you? Could they show up as your family and your partner? You have to think about it. You tell me the answer. So that was the emanation body, the paradise body of a Buddha now, the Longkyu or the Sambhogakaya. This is referring to the physical form that an enlightened being has in her or his own paradise. I didn't put a picture there because your picture needs to go there. What are you going to look like in your Buddha paradise? What is the perfect physical body that you will have? And what will your paradise look like? Imagine the most beautiful being that you can. You know, what is your body shape going to be? What is your hair going to be like? What color are your eyes? You're going to be exquisite if you aren't already. And you're going to be made of light with no bones and organs in your body. And this stuff, what we have now, is the raw material for your Buddha body. What you see around you is the raw material for your paradise. Everyone around us is empty. How we experience them depends on what is in your heart. If you keep your vows well, then this place will become your Buddha paradise, the place that you're in right now. When you become a tantric angel, a diamond way angel, you will be the most beautiful, exquisite thing that you can imagine. So why not start now imagining that, planting the seeds? You don't have to look like a Tibetan or an Indian or Chinese or Japanese deity. And it's a process that happens slowly. Maybe you will start to have little glimpses of it now and again. And the end story is that one day you finally become a perfect angel. Because you are empty. And it's just our mental afflictions planted by our past deeds that are obscuring us. So we have to purify those seeds and we have to plant new seeds to see ourselves and all the beings around us and our whole environment in a new and different, and I'd say much more fun way, right? Than seeing ourselves as not being so great and criticizing others and seeing the world as an ugly, hard, difficult place, right? We can change that. We can change it. And we are. And then the wisdom body of a Buddha, the Yeshichuku or the Jnana Dharmakaya. And as we said this before, this refers to the mental state of a Buddha. A Buddha sees directly every object in the universe, past, present, and future, in one instant. They can see every event that ever took place, is taking place, and will ever take place, right? Everywhere in every universe, in all time. That includes our thoughts and all the thoughts we ever had or ever will have. And they see all those things in every instant. All the sense powers of a Buddha have that ability. For example, a Buddha can hear everything in the universe with her toe. She can see everything in the universe with her nose. It's not limited to smelling with the nose and hearing with the ears, right? Because it's empty. A Buddha can perceive directly both deceptive reality and ultimate reality at the same time. There's no other being who can do that. Like an Arya, who's not yet a Buddha, cannot perceive emptiness directly and also experience deceptive reality at the same time. Furthermore, a Buddha has ultimate compassion in her mind all the time. She or he is omniscient, but not omnipotent. If they were omnipotent, meaning that they controlled everything, would there be suffering in the world? Would they allow suffering to go on if they have ultimate compassion for us? Irina's shaking her head. No. But they can see what we need. And they've watched us in all of our lives, and they're watching us now And so they come in the form of teachings, by teaching you. And it doesn't have to be something formal like we have here. Watch for the teachings you get during the day with your encounters with other people and things. Could it be that an enlightened being is trying to teach you something? Would they do that? And then lastly, the essence body of a Buddha, the Nobuniku, the Svabhavakaya. This is the essence body or the emptiness body. It is the most important part of an enlightened being, and it refers to the fact that none of your parts, either now or when you get enlightened, are that thing from their own side. And this is the only part, and it's cool, we even have this part of a Buddha that we have now. It is our Buddha nature. The emptiness of the three parts or the three bodies of an enlightened being is very important. Why? It provides the possibility for an enlightened being to perceive themselves as an enlightened being. The monitor or the movie screen on which they are projecting their perception of being is showing them an enlightened being. Why? It all gets back to those seeds, right? The emptiness of the emanation body of the Svabhavakaya is that an emanation does not exist from its own side. It depends on the perceiver having the very pure virtuous karma to perceive the object as an emanation. If one had less virtuous karma ripening in one's mind at that time, you may see the being as an ordinary person instead. Similarly, the paradise body of a Buddha is empty. It's not a body of pure light from its own side. The perfect karma, and of course, it's not called karma once you become enlightened, of an enlightened being makes her or him see their body as divinely beautiful. And the emptiness of the wisdom body of an enlightened being is that that being's mind and thoughts are also empty. Our thoughts, they're like mental sounds, right? And what we hear again is due to our past karma. And our mind organizes those mental sounds into thoughts. So, in a sense, we're just listening to our thoughts. Many years ago, I had a dear friend who was a homeopathic doctor, and I was seeing him, and he said to me, you're not your emotions. And I was like in my 20s when he said that. And I was like, what is he talking about? I feel so much like my emotions are me. We're totally intertwined. And it took me years to understand that. And the same is true of our thoughts. We're just listening to them. We're not them. If we were them, could we hear them? They are just from seeds planted. And if you've been good to others, you will hear sweet, beautiful thoughts. If you have been negative to others, then you will hear thoughts like, I'm not happy, I'm depressed, I can't understand this, right? So it gives you a clue what you need to do to change the thoughts in your mind. Be kinder, be gentler. Give people some slack. So the emptiness of those three bodies is the essence body of a Buddha. It is the most precious body of them all. If an enlightened being's body and mind were not empty, we could never, ever, no one could ever, ever, ever achieve enlightenment. Your emptiness is precious. The fact that this arm, this human arm, and our non-virtuous thoughts are not coming from their own side offers us this incredible opportunity for us to completely transform them into the body and the mind of an angel. Your emptiness is your ticket to heaven. It is your saving grace. So think about it once in a while. So that's all we're going to talk about the bodies of a Buddha today. And then we're going to go on to something called the three spheres. Remember, we're going through a whole course. We'll do it in 2 classes. The first class covers the first 5 classes in that course, and the second class covers the second 5. So now we're moving on to the 3 spheres. And the emptiness of those spheres. So what are we going to do? We're going to talk a bit more about the big E, the big emptiness. Pour myself some more water. So there are 3 spheres or 3 elements to all 6 perfections. We're going to talk about the perfection of giving. So consider, for example, the act of giving a pen to somebody. There's me who's giving the pen. There's the person who is receiving the pen. And then there's the pen itself, right? The object that's being given and received. So those are the 3 spheres. The person who's receiving the pen, the one who is giving the pen, and the object itself. Sometimes the 3rd sphere, rather than being the object itself, is the act itself, the act of giving, rather than an object. For example, in the perfection of not getting angry, there is the act of you being patient, right? So to practice giving a pen as a perfection is to understand the emptiness of these three spheres. So in practice, this means that as you do the giving, you have to think about these things. You have to think about the emptiness of the giver, which is Jinje in Tibet. The fact that the person who is practicing the perfection of giving, myself, I am empty of self-existence. I exist as I do in the present situation through the perceptions forced upon me by my past actions or karma. The same principle means that continuing to give with this understanding will help me to perceive myself later as an enlightened being. Do I think about that when I give somebody a pen? That it's all coming from my seeds. I'm coming from my seeds, that the pen's coming from my seeds, that the person I'm giving it to is coming from my seeds. No. So am I planting the seeds to become an enlightened being? No, I'm still planting the seeds to see it all happening this way, right? But if we can stop occasionally and think about these things, it helps to reinforce it. And then one day when you're handing something to somebody, you realize, wow, I could be giving this to a holy being. And I could even see myself as being a holy being, giving something holy to them, right? I exist as I do in this moment through perceptions forced on me by my past actions of karma. If I continue to understand this, then I don't see this element, the act of giving, as being self-existent anymore. Even the fact that I have a pen to offer is not, it's not because I went out and bought it. It's not because it was in my drawer. The fact that I can even see it as a pen and use it as a pen all point to emptiness. So the emptiness of the giver, the Jinje. And then there's the emptiness of the receiver, the Jin Yul. Yul means like other. The emptiness of the person who's receiving the gift. They're also empty of any self-existence. See a theme through this class? I did. The person towards whom I'm performing the act of giving also exists as they do through the perceptions forced upon them by me, by my past actions. I'll say that again. The person towards whom I'm performing the act of giving also exists as they do, through the perceptions forced upon me by my past actions. And because of that, it will help me to perceive them later as high beings in my Buddha paradise. If I understand this, then I don't see this second element in the act of giving as being self-existent. And then there's the act itself. We're talking about the act itself, not about the object here at the moment. The fact that this whole situation of me giving something, someone receiving it, is also empty of any self-existence. This entire situation in general exists as it does through the perceptions forced on me by my past seeds. That's all, right? And this will help me to perceive it later, just like with the other two, as the perfect and spontaneous activity of an enlightened being. If I understand this, then I don't see this third element in an act of giving as being self-existent. And then there's the object itself, the jinja, the emptiness of the gift. So as I said before, some commentaries replace different ones. It could be the object, it could be the act of giving. And here with the jinja, the object, the thing I'm giving exists as it does, just like everything else. Perceptions forced upon me by how I have treated others. How many pens or writing tools or any kind of tool really I have shared or given to others. And that, of course, helps me to perceive the perfect objects in my Buddha paradise later. So again, if I understand this, then I don't see this element in the act of giving as being self-existent. It's a lot to think about at the moment. So how do I practice this? You think of the emptiness of the person to whom you are giving the pen. You can't see them independent of your karma forcing you to see them that way. If you had pure karma, then you would see that person as enlightened in your Buddha paradise. If you understand that, then you don't see this person as self-existent. Right? They are not independent of your seeds, forcing you to see them. If you have pure karma, you would see your own body and mind as that of a pure, holy being. The action of giving can create that kind of karma. That's how you don't see yourself as self-existent. You understand where that body is coming from. So if you're giving while thinking of the emptiness of yourself and that you could become an enlightened being. The karma will ripen faster. That's that thought of, I could be an enlightened being, as you're giving the pen to someone. And we have moments all day long where we're interacting with people and giving them things. So we have this opportunity all day long, if we wake up a little bit, to remember the emptiness of what is going on. Even at work, when you hand somebody a document or you send an email, we have an opportunity to wake up and go, think about the emptiness of yourself, of the email, of the person you're sending it to, of the computer, all of that, right? And then number 3, you think of the emptiness of what you are giving and your situation, also forced by karma. That you are experiencing an impure world of impure objects is the result of how we've treated others in the past. It's a result of those harmful seeds, those negative seeds that we've planted. And the more we can think about the emptiness of things, we can plant different seeds. And then our world begins to change. So in the Diamond Cutter Sutra, back to the Diamond Cutter Sutra, Subhuti asks a question. And he says, O conqueror, what of those who have entered well into the way of the Bodhisattva? How should they live? How should they practice? How should they keep their thoughts? And this is the format of the sutra. The whole sutra follows this unusual pattern where Subhuti will pose a question and Lord Buddha will respond with the answer. And then Lord Buddha will ask Subhuti something kind of like, well, do living beings even exist? He's just asked, how do bodhisattvas, who are living beings, how should they live? How should they practice? And Lord Buddha says, well, do they even exist? And then Subhuti replies, no. And the Buddha says, exactly. They don't exist. And that's why we can call them living beings. It's very profound and hard to understand. Even in the Heart Sutra, when Lord Buddha says there's no eyes, no ears, no nose, no mouth, no tongue, we're like, what is he talking about? We have to cook it and think about it. Think about it in terms of seeds and emptiness. And how we can use those two to change our world. And that's the end of today's class. Your meditation assignment is 15 minutes a day, analyzing an object that we deny when we speak of emptiness. That gotcha. The two-headed purple elephant, the husband in the kitchen, or the wife in the kitchen, or the children in the kitchen, or the boss, whatever it is, the pen, to bring those to mind. The thing that doesn't exist, never will exist, and never did exist outside of our projections. I'm with Emily, a big stretch. Oh, I need to plug my computer in. Oh, here. There we go. Okay. So that's the first part of the Diamond Cutter Sutra, the first 5 classes in that course we covered this morning. Next Thursday, we'll cover the other 5. And Venerable Kadran, would you explain to people about the different levels of participating in this course? She's getting her mic back plugged in or something. Thank you. So I just want everybody to be on the same page for getting how to get credit for this course or what all the requirements are for that. So you have to turn your mic on.
Hello, thank you so much, dear Lama, for the great, beautiful teachings. And I really appreciate all the depth you taught us. It's amazing. And I'm very happy to be in this class. And I hope all the students feel kind of the same. Thank you for this teaching, and thank you everyone for being here with us. Without you, we cannot make this teaching possible. Thank you. This teaching is for you, and Venerable Gyelse, thank you so much for agreeing to teach us this deep, deep stuff. And of course, if you, dear students, if you have finished all 5 courses, ACI 6, ACI 7, 8, 9, and 10, and you got your certificates, you can go through this teaching, this ACI 17 course, and if you do all the homeworks and all quizzes, everything, final exam, then you can apply for certification and you can get certificate. If you didn't finish one or all of the 5 courses, then it's okay. You can listen, you can do your homework, you can do whatever you want. You just won't get the certificate. And maybe after you have done all the required 5 courses, you can just apply and get your certification. Or maybe you have to just do your homeworks next time. It depends on the Lama. Lama, what would you say about that?
Oh, that's putting me on the spot, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
Let me think about it.
Okay, thank you
So
so
it is a
much.
beautiful course for those who are taking it as a review, which is what it's meant to be. And it's also an amazing overview of courses 6 through 10. And so if you haven't done those, then you get this wonderful glimpse into what you are going to be going into. And so don't think that you're wasting your time, even if you don't get a certificate. As I said earlier, for me, even to go back to these courses over and over is, there's so much there that you missed the first time and again the second time, and so forth, right? And there's so much material and it's so rich. And you get reminded, oh, yeah, I forgot about doing that. I could do that in my life. And it helps to fill our toolbox up. So don't worry, I would say don't worry about certification. I just wanted you to know, what the guidelines were. I know you've heard them before, but again, um, there's a lot of people in this class today. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page. So thank you, Kadrin.
Thank you very much, dear Gyelsela. And I forgot to say that yes, to get the certificate, you are supposed to be present in all the classes, and please turn your camera on. And yes, we have the registration. Before every class, you have to go through the registration. It make us to confirm that you really have been there, and your camera is very helpful. Your camera on is very helpful for the teacher. And also, we can see that you are here because these classes, ACA 17, 19, sorry, 16, 17, and 18, the courses are supposed to be from the teacher to the student. And because we have this amazing thing like internet and Zoom, we can do it just when you are in your country and our Lama is in her country, and we can do it through all over the world. And because of that, this is now in person. So please turn on your camera and be present in every class. Then you can get your certificate. Otherwise, you are just supposed to go to America, to Sedona, and meet Venerable Gyelse in person, and then you can choose. And thank you, Natasha, for your message in the chat regarding the requirements. You can see it in the chat. And also, just to remind you that we have a study group, which Natasha will be leading. It's in English, but if your English is okay, you can try to participate. Maybe it will work, even if your English is not very good. What is going to be there? All the homeworks, talking about difficult points, doing meditation. So we will help you to go, Natasha will help you to go through all the homeworks. So please come to the study group if you are serious regarding this course. If you're not, just also come, and maybe you can find some beautiful diamonds in this course. Thank you so much, Venerable Gyelse.
And I also
everyone.
want to thank all the tech and all of the interpreters. We could not do this without you. All of the work in the background to support this. I'm on a Telegram group where I see all this information going back and forth. You don't know what's behind all of this. So thank you to everybody for all of your hard work, not just for my class, but for all the other classes that are happening in the world. I also wanted to suggest that, did I just freeze or did also wanted to suggest that you can have your study groups in your own languages if you want. You can arrange those with people who share a language with you, and it's just a study group, and you will have access to all the materials. And I can say, when I did ACI 1, I did it with a small group of people. I don't know how many years ago, many, many, many years ago. And we took a year to do ACI 1. And we just went through it slowly, and we listened to the tapes. We were listening to tapes back then, little cassette tapes. and stopping and saying, well, what about this? And what about that? And what do you think? And what does that mean? And it's incredibly valuable. So I just want to encourage everybody to do it with other people. And it also helps to do your homework together. And it's fun. You get to meet and be with other people in the course. So thank you for coming. And I will see you next week, same time. I'll be in a different place, but I will be emanating a different place. And have a good rest of your week. And think about your seeds and emptiness. Bye-bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Please stay. Love you.
Thank you,
Take
teacher.
care.
Thank you.